Each candidate will be able to give a 30-second closing comment. Time limits will be strictly enforced for opening statements, answering questions, and closing statements. The timers will hold up a yellow card when only 15 seconds remain, and a red card when the time is up. If you don't stop, a bell will be ringing. Before we end today's event, any candidates
to share,
that are present,
and just make sure to keep a close eye on our timekeepers there so we can stay on track. To start with today, I'll invite Nancy Tigueros to start. Thanks.
It's always lovely to be the first one. My name is Nancy Tigueros. I'm running for city council. And I was born in Mexico. I was a human rights lawyer. Oh, sorry. Yes. Okay. So I'm a human rights lawyer, and because of my work defending women on the border that were killed, I have to move here. I came as a refugee claimant in 1997. Since that, I've been working on immigration, representing immigrants. I worked with Reporters Without Borders and other organizations. But what I want to say tonight is that I come here, I don't feel like I'm a politician. I feel myself more like an activist. And I'm not doing politics, I'm doing community. I see politics as a way to transfer our cities, to be facilitators between different groups. And one of the things that, give me the strength to come and talk to all of you, because this is not easy, is the fact that we know there are many voices that are unrepresented in the city, and we need to be one. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Now I'll invite Lisa Dominato to provide a short presentation.
Thanks, Kristen, and welcome everyone. And I'd also like to acknowledge that we are on the lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. I am running with Ken Sim for mayor in ABC Vancouver. Just a little bit about me. This is my first term on council, but I initially ran in 2018 because I was really passionate about housing and housing affordability in our city and ensuring we have a city for the future for our young people. Those continue to be values I hold very dear. I have spent much of my career in the public sector, really in service and servitude to others. That's how I was raised. I've been involved with many nonprofits, including the Kiwanis Club, but also the Kettle Society here in Vancouver, which supports people with much needed services in terms of supporting mental illness and addictions, but also housing throughout the city. I also have a big priority in terms of livability in the city, and for me, livability is about ensuring we have services and amenities for our families in our neighborhoods, whether that be childcare, whether it be walkable neighborhoods, public spaces, libraries, all of those amenities. And also lastly, I want to comment on community safety. I think that's another really important issue right now in our city. Many neighborhoods are concerned about public safety and about a range of issues, and so that's another priority for me and for ABC Vancouver.
Thanks very much.
My name is Dulcie Anderson, and I'm running for City Council with Mayor Kennedy Stewart and Board together. My pronouns are she and her. I'm running for Vancouver City Council so that my kids, who are now young men, can see a future for themselves in this city, and so that everyone who dreams of building a life here can as well. I think we can build a more caring city, dare I say a feminist city, and I want to do the work to make sure that this opportunity isn't wasted. My 3 priorities are housing, women and caregivers, and equity and optimism. When I moved to Vancouver with my family years ago, we struggled to find appropriate housing. We had 2 active little boys and a cat. Now, do you really have to get rid of your cat to find housing in Vancouver? When we did finally find housing, I went to go see my MLA, David Eady, to see if I could help. I had experience in community economic development and housing, politics and government, degrees from MIT in city planning and Harvard in women's studies, but mostly I just wanted to help people in my community and help address the housing crisis. So I volunteered and ended up working in David Eady's community office. In the course of my work, I regularly see the people who are falling off our housing ladder. Women with children and pets living in their cars, seniors who are couch surfing or living in shelters by night and the library by day to stay close to the neighborhoods that they know. David Eady and the province have done their level best to protect tenants and build housing for forward from here with speed and at scale. I'm an optimist. I do see that we face generational housing, health, climate, and caregiving crises. But I also see that the stars could be aligned politically at this moment. We also have a generational opportunity to work with progressive senior governments to invest in housing, childcare, climate action, and transportation, and I want to do the work to make sure this opportunity isn't wasted. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me now? Hi, my name is Leslie Gold, and I'm running for City Council with Vision Vancouver with Honya Bazagati to my left here. I am an entrepreneur, a small business owner, and I'm also a member of the University of Women's Club, and I'm delighted to be here today. I'm running for City Council because our city is stuck. Our City Council currently lacks the focus, purpose, and agency that when really what we need is courageous leadership. We're not seeing that right now. My reasons for running for City Council are personal too. I'm a renter. I actually live a couple of blocks away. I was evicted from my home of 13 years 4 years ago, and it was one of the most difficult experiences of my life. And I'm one of the lucky ones. I was able to find another home in my neighborhood that I could afford. Many people, some of the other candidates you referred to, are not that fortunate, and some folks have to leave the city because they can't find affordable housing here. I'm looking forward to the discussion tonight about the issues that are important to us and to Vision Vancouver and to citizens in the city, like affordable housing I've just mentioned, climate action, and safe neighborhoods, schools that are inclusive, and we've got an amazing team of school board candidates running with Vision Vancouver and candidates running from park boards. So thanks for having me here today. Really looking forward to this evening's discussion.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? So I'm a first-term city councilor running for re-election. I currently sit on council here with Lisa Dominato, also running with ABC, and Sarah Young, also an incumbent running with ABC. I first ran for council in 2018, largely because of, at that particular moment in time, I had an 18-year-old. My life started pretty unconventionally. I was a single mom at 21 while in college, and decided to drop out of college. I didn't have the financial support behind me from family. I had a lot of support for childcare, but not, and decided to work. And it was actually a small business that gave me an opportunity without that formal education to come in and learn that business from the ground up. I worked there for 14 years, and it gave me the opportunity to have a really strong foundation and a head start with my daughter. My son is now 17, my daughter's 22, and it was really that point that I realized that I wanted to give back to the city and create strong local economies right across the city so that other people can see themselves building a life here. So that has, of course, morphed into tackling some really big issues that we had in the city. Housing, of course, being one of them. My daughter's now living on her own in a purpose-built rental a couple blocks away from here. So going through that process of looking for housing, being evicted in the first place, finding new housing, recognizing that security of tenure for her right now means purpose-built rental. She's not going to be evicted because somebody has made a decision about where she lives at that particular moment. She's got some security of tenure, and she can have her cat. So the point here is that we've got some major challenges in the city to tackle, and what I want to do is continue to run for council, not only to be that example and that stand for my daughter, but for all of those that may have an unconventional start, that they get to continue on and be able to lead and use all of those skills in solving some of the biggest challenges that we have in our city right now.
I am very happy to be here. My apologies for being late, but I am an Indigenous case manager in the downtown east side, so I thought I needed to go home and maybe put on something a little more appropriate to come meet with you tonight, so appreciate that. So my name is Tanya Webking. I am Dene German from the Tsacho Nation, but I've been calling Vancouver home off and on for a few decades now, so I feel that I know the city very well. As a mental health and addiction worker, I started working in the downtown east side in 1996. So over the span of that 25 years, I've seen the erosion of social services, the erosion of mental health services. We never kept up with the builds that we needed to do, and we never demanded that the province actually step in and help adjust the pay rates. So here we are today with the downtown east side and an incredible homelessness crisis on top of an affordability crisis. So what's really important is that we have to take a pivot, right? Incrementalism is over. So as someone that has also been a housing and anti-poverty advocate for many years, I lived in Washington State for 10 years, and because I don't recognize a colonial border, I am still organizing there. Knowing the laws and the way people organize and the way governments work in 2 different countries is actually very helpful. I'm probably the only one still organizing in Washington. I'm the first Indigenous board chair for the Tenants Union of Washington State, which is an incredible organization, and a lot of those things we can do here. So the things that I've done there are the tiny home communities. You can build one in under 30 days, right? We can get people off the streets. We can have supported tent cities. You need the full washrooms, kitchens, showers, full care, and social workers. So let's refund our community and let's work together. We need some major changes and a lot of tenant protections. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone. I'm honored to be here. My name is Dr. Devyani Singh. I'm a climate scientist and an economist. And I'm running for Vancouver City Council with an amazing team of green candidates. And like Stephanie Smith and our current councillors running for re-election, Councillor Carr, Councillor Reid, and Councillor Fry. Councillor Carr was turned away. She was a little late, so sadly she's not here. I'm an immigrant. I come from India. I grew up in the Indian Himalayas. And I've been seeing the impacts of the climate crisis for the past many decades. We saw last year that it's finally arrived in North America as well. We had the heat dome. And it's not just the climate crisis. We're facing multiple crises right now. Affordability, housing. You know, we're in a pandemic. And it's only going to get worse unless we do something about it. And that's what got me into politics. As a climate scientist who's been working on energy access and transitions, doing work with the First Nations, working on methane emissions from oil and gas, I couldn't sit back anymore. And you know, like you said, be the change you want to see in the world, I decided that I would take the science to politics if they wouldn't listen to science. As a woman of color, a renter, a below median income earner, I know how hard it is for us to live in this city. Most of my friends have moved out of here in the last 2 years because of children, of pets, or they're grad students, you know, who couldn't afford to live here. And let's face it, it's hard to make friends in this city. I want to keep the ones I have. And I don't want to leave it either. So I really care about affordability and true affordability. During my PhD, I was paying 100% of my stipend for rent. How is that sustainable? How is that okay? We need to do more. And which is why I'm running with the Greens, because the Greens get work done. We aren't here for fancy slogans. We're not here, you know, to make it sound good. We do what's needed and we get the work done. So once again, I'm Devyani Singh, and I'm running for Vancouver City Council with the Greens. Thank you.
I'm Arzu Zarabian, and before I start, I am someone of Iranian heritage, so I just want to take a moment because we are very privileged here in this space as women and as people that can take part in political dialogue. And I have a 3-year-old daughter, so I will say her name, Mahsa Amini, and every other Iranian. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional because it's really hit close to home, especially this morning, because I know a lot of Iranians and my own family members that have lost lives because of the revolution and in the 80s. So I have to take a moment today because we are very privileged to take part in this political dialogue, especially in the remaining time. So I'm Arzu Zarabian. I'm running with the NPA team. I am a mother to a 3-year-old and a wife to an entrepreneur and small business owner who actually has his office right at Broadway in Cyprus. So the Broadway plan is not just affecting his business, it's also affecting our livelihood because we live in our Beavis walkway in our condo. I decided to run, like my colleague here mentioned, as an angry mama bear one day because I was on mat leave and I noticed things in the city that I had not noticed before. It was in the pandemic. I was walking around the streets of Vancouver and I was just in awe of the street disorder, the public safety, and the lack of safety in our community parks. And on that, I went back to work as a Vancouver Police Department crime analyst, which I have been a senior crime analyst for 13 years, and I saw that my observations were not just observations, but the crime was real, the victims were real, and the increases were real. And I started dissecting and looking at the victimology, looking at the factors, and in that time, there was purchases of SROs, and it does not make me anti-affordability. I've been a renter for over a decade. I know the struggles of renters. It was that why are we not allowing compassion and sympathy? And why are we letting individuals with complex care needs warehoused in these structures? This is a passion of mine. I'm very blessed that I've been able to continue with my passion and my belief with the NPA team. I have Melissa DeGenova here, and as she mentioned, Fred Harding running for mayor, and Elaine Allen, and I'm very happy to be part of this team. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm running because I believe that Vancouver is a great city with a great potential to be affordable, to be safe, and to remain beautiful and unique. But we're heading in the wrong direction. We have become unaffordable for our children, for professional, service, first responder workers. Our streets are less safe, particularly downtown, and the public dangers downtown are spreading beyond there. Our parks are poorly maintained and sometimes taken over by encampments. Social isolation is an increasingly challenging problem for more and more residents in the city. And our neighborhood main streets are losing wonderful small local businesses. I'm running with the team to reverse this terrible trend. I believe that we have to take bold measures to change the way we run City Hall, to change the way we develop and build housing in the city, and the way that we attack the atrocious situation in the downtown east side. Team recognizes that we can no longer simply tinker around the edges, and that doing more of the same of what we've been doing for decades is not rational and will not move us forward towards regaining thriving neighborhoods and livability for all residents and for future generations to come. I have always been involved in the community as a volunteer and as an advocate, particularly in the human rights and women's rights areas. I have been on many boards of directors of advocacy and charitable organizations. And I'm very proud to have been a president of this wonderful organization, the University of Women's Club. My day job was as a lawyer, general counsel, and crown prosecutor. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I would like to thank RSU for acknowledging what is happening in Iran these days, because that is personally affecting me as well. My name is Hania Barzagari, and I am your City Council candidate with Vision Vancouver. Like so many other Vancouverites, I was not born and raised here, but I'm so proud to call it my home. I am an immigrant, a proud Canadian, a medical doctor by training, and in the last 4 years, I've been working for a health technology company. There are different reasons I'm running for City Council. When I used to practice medicine in Iran, I worked with so many equity deserving groups, as well as when I used to volunteer at Mount St. Joseph Hospital and paying VC here. And I would love to bring that equity lens if I hopefully get elected. Since I'm a medical doctor in background, I used to work with so many mental health patients, drug users and their families, and we keep saying that we have mental health crisis in our city. And I hope if I get elected, I can bring the experience I have. Health is a provincial matter, however, there are things that we can do at city level. We can focus more on care coordination and education, collaborate with Vancouver Coastal Health and province to make sure that we can get things done. The other reason I'm running is I'm a renter myself, and I believe everybody deserves an affordable, secure, and dignified place to call home. It should be dignified. And it is something that I'm going to work on with my wonderful team, my candidates at Vision Vancouver. Since I'm working at a health technology company, I would like to support our city to work for more opportunities in business. As an example, technology growth to keep our young professionals here rather than losing them to East of Canada or to US. And at last but not least, I would like to focus on inclusion and belonging. not just for immigrants, for LGBTQIA2+, seniors, people with any kind of disabilities, indigenous people who are generously sharing this land with us. Thank you so much.
My name is Morgan Roger, and I'm running for City Council with Progress Vancouver, with our mayoral candidate Mark Marison and the other candidates that have been announced today. I'd like to start off by thanking the University Women's Club for hosting this event. It's a very, very important event, and it's a very, very rare venue that we can be together talking about women's issues. So housing is at the core of a number of the crises in Vancouver, and this is why I am running for City Council this year. I'm the parent of 2 teens that I'm co-parenting with another parent, and I'm raising them in a less than 900 square foot apartment downtown Vancouver. It's quite a challenge to have 2 teenagers of different gender in the same room, but it's inconceivable that I would be able to find a larger place. I'm a francophone, je parle français couramment. I was actually an immigrant to Canada in 1983, and believe it or not, I've been a newcomer 6 times in my life, as a child, as an adult. I founded a human rights organization, which is kind of a hobby activity. Its purpose is to extend human rights of Canadians who face marginalization. In my day job, I work as a technology manager. I am a mechanical engineer by training, and I would like to focus the next few weeks until the election on the #1 issue in Vancouver, which, as we know, is the housing and affordability problem. We need to have actually affordable housing in Vancouver, which is very different than what's being sold to many of us. This housing needs to be available for everyone that needs homes, including people who are unhoused today because of their complex issues which were brought up before, or also because the homes that we are offering today in the SRO system are simply unsuitable and unlivable. That's why I'm running with Progress Vancouver. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Smith. I'm running for City Council with the Vancouver Greens with Dr. Nagemi Singh here, as well as City Councilors Adrian Carr, Mike Weed, and Pete Fry. This is the first time I've ever run for office, and I never considered it until he approached me about a year ago in the wake of a challenging decision at council related to housing affordability. The reason that I'm running is because I think the moment requires the best of all of us and the best that we can give. And this was an opportunity to do the most good that I could for the most people with the skills that I have. I've spent most of the past 25 years working in the nonprofit sector, primarily as a community legal advocate. I've represented a lot of the tenants who are not able to find apartments because they have cats, or who are being evicted from apartments because they have cats. In that role, I've also done a lot of community-driven housing policy work. Too many people in Vancouver are living in deep insecurity, knowing that they are one rent eviction or dem eviction new child, or layoff away from being priced out of the city forever. And I believe that if we are bold, we can create policies at City Hall that will create the kind of security that Vancouverites need so that everyone who lives here has a future. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Asha Hare, and I'm running for Vancouver City Council. Are you going to hear me? Okay. So I'm running for Vancouver City Council, and my name is Asha Hare. The reason I'm running is because I have 2 beautiful young kids. One's 9 and one's 5. And it was her that lit the fire. So I'm always complaining, and those 2 are always in the back seat, and they're always like, "Mom, why are you always complaining?" And finally, she said to me, "My teacher told me not to complain, but to do something." And that's why I'm here today. So I'm a mama bear on fire. I want action. And if you guys all know what that means, I'm gonna do it. I want my kids to be able to afford to live in Vancouver, and right now they're not gonna be able to do that. I want safe neighborhoods in Vancouver. Right now we don't have that. And I want that to happen, and I think changes need to be made, and that's why I'm running for Vancouver City Council. Along with our candidate, May E, over there in the back. May say hi, and Morgan Auger. So, yes, that's me. Thank you.
very happy to be at the University Women's Club. I've been coming here since I was a teenager with my grandmother, if you can believe it. I'm born and raised Vancouverite, as were both my parents. My grandparents immigrated here with my great-grandparents, all trying to build a better life for our children and children's children. I myself grew up basically at UBC, where my father, Walter Hardwick, taught from 1960 to 1997. And I was 10 years older than my father, and the original team, the Electors Action Movement, were first elected and then fighting the freeways, and then formed a government with Art Phillips as mayor in '72, and started to really put Vancouver on the map as a livable city. The problem is, now I have 2 kids, and I've gained 2 grandchildren over the course of this term. And I don't want to be the last generation of my family that can afford to live in Vancouver anymore. And it is that serious, because if we can't afford to live here, what's the point? I have analyzed systematically what has been going on with the city going back many decades. And since I've been on council over the last 4 years, I've been able to pin down exactly the changes that have been made in the business and financial structure of the city, which have largely led to us into the predicaments that we're in today. So it is because of my deep knowledge and experience that I am running this time for mayor, because I don't want to be the last generation of my family to live here. I also want to be able to take the kids to the park without fear of used needles, and I also would like to see the potholes filled and the poor services that the city is responsible dealt with. So I'm running with a team of highly qualified people. Please vote team. Thank you.